What's going on, guys? It's Uche Njoku, and welcome to this episode of the Sneaker Principle Podcast. Um, it is about 12:30 in the a.m., and I should be asleep, but instead I am working. And what am I working on? I'm working on a transition plan. And you might be wondering, what is this transition plan for? Well, I have made the decision to return to what I love, and that thing is leading schools, being a school leader, being a principal. And yeah, some of you were probably wondering, like, wait a minute, what just happened here? A year ago, you were out, you wrote this uh, this letter to the world about your transition out of education, out of physical in school education. Yes, I did. I did, and every word that I wrote in that letter, I meant wholeheartedly. Um, and this year's been the best year I could have had to be able to really, truly go into my mountain cave, sit and reflect and contemplate and look at the full picture of everything around me. My successes, my shortcomings, the the things that make the work really hard, the things that I love about the work, and how I want to move forward. How do I want to move forward in this work? And in the past year, a lot of great things have happened. You know, I've gotten closer to my family. Um, I got into grad school. I will be attending Teachers College, Columbia University for my doctorates in urban leadership. Yeah, so your boy's about to be Dr. Njoku within the next 3 years or so. Um, so this transition plan, clearly, it's for me taking over a school. So yes, I have been informed that very soon I will be the principal of a middle school in the Bronx, and I'm excited about it. But people think, like, becoming a principal is like any other job. You just kind of like get the job and you walk in day one. They show you the bathrooms, you get the keys, and that's it. Well, you're sadly mistaken. Um, Imagine being told that tomorrow you'll be the CEO, chief operating officer of a company with several employees, um, facilities, infrastructure, hundreds of customers who are not just like in and out customers. These are clients that you have, hundreds of clients, and you have to serve these clients every single day, and not only service them from the perspective of just here, like here's a cheeseburger and your drink. You're consulting with them, you're giving them services, and these are multi-year contracts. You know, and then you have oversight from the community, from the city, from the state, from the federal government, eyeballs on you. So this is what becoming a principal is. You are the CEO of a multi-million dollar company. And when you take over an entity like this, it's a living, breathing organism. And it's not just here are the keys and, go about your duty. No, it requires that you are walking in there and with a plan. How do you introduce yourself? How do you transition systems? How do you, learn, learn, listen about this entity? There's no amount of physical documentation and paperwork you can read through and data that's going to give you the full picture of a school. This requires that you do a lot of footwork in while you're acclimating yourself to that environment. So for this, I've created a 120-day plan. This is a 120-day transition plan for the middle school I'll be taking over in the Bronx. And I want to share this with you because I've taken over uh, two previous schools as principal. I've taken over a school as an assistant principal, actually, where there was no sitting principal. So I went into that particular school and eventually became a principal a year or two after, no, a year after, a year and a half after I took it over and transitioned it to another principal. I did that as an assistant principal. But in all those situations, to be honest with you, um, um, from the first one, I didn't really have a plan. I just went on instincts. But as with each school, I realized how important it is to have a very clear plan. And with this school, my plan is way more detailed than any of the other plans I've ever had. And I think a lot of it has to do with experience. And then not only that, I can say I'm a veteran now. I'm not a rookie. I'm not walking in there hoping that that I'm going to do it right. I'm walking in there with a very clear understanding of who I am as a leader and what I need to do and what I need to be successful in this environment. In any environment, but you're walking in there, dealing with people that you don't know, they don't know you, and the slightest misstep can create chaos. That's unnecessary. So let me just give you a quick overview of my plan. So this is a 120-day transition plan, and the way I've broken it up is into I've broken it up into 5 days. The first 5 days, then the 15th day. So everything that's gonna happen from my first day, and by the end of the first 5 days, then by the end of the first 15 days, the end of the first 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, then 120 days. So after I hit 30 days, everything else is all in 30-day increments because it's going to be more of a flow, and a lot of things are going to build off of each other with new additions depending on what's happening. And the school that I'm taking over, I'm going to be starting in the first day of May, which actually, ironically, it starts on a Monday this year. So that's kind of cool. So my dates are kind of like from Monday, through the 5th, which would be that Friday. So from the 1st to the 5th, that's the first 5 days. I'm going to continue from that moving forward. So so then after the first 5 days, 15 days, then I hit that 30 days, and everything else is just 30-day increments, like I said previously. So what's going to be happening within these time frames? I want to kind of like go over my bullet points, and these are very, very broad, very broad statements of things that need to happen. But I'm actually creating a document that has details with templates and things that I'm going to need, and letters and memos and agendas. I've learned that as a school leader, you have to be detail oriented. Like, it's so important. You have to document everything. You cannot just leave things to chance or to an email or this random places. Thankfully, I've had some really great mentors and leaders who were very old school. Now everything's on Google Drive, Google Docs, which just makes life so much easier. But I came up in a time when you had binders. You had these huge binders with every document in there with what do you call it? My brain's not working right now. What people content, so you knew where everything was with all your exemplars and evidence to support what's in the binder. So I want to do the same thing. Yes, I'm not going to use a binder. This is all going to be in on Google Drive, so I can access it easily, where I can have a meeting and take a picture of the document and just upload it into my Google Drive and have everything filed away there. But yeah, I digress. So now, the first 5 days. So I'm going to be meeting with the outgoing principal to gather information, insights on the current state of the school. And And for a lot of us, this can happen. This might be one meeting. My previous meeting, my previous school, it was literally that. I'm there talking to her as she is, the principal, is packing her stuff, and it was very, very superficial. It was very like, well, this is a nice building, and, watch out for this person and that person. It felt more like very gossipy and very, non-productive, that she would give me spilling the tea on the building, which I didn't need, because for me it wasn't about the building, it was about the kids that now I was going to be their principal and the staff that I was going to be leading. So in this scenario, I plan to have a sit down, hopefully multiple sit downs, and get all the detail, the nitty gritty, all the specifics of the school. And then, of course, introducing myself to the faculty, staff, students, parents through emails, letters, and in-person meetings, including virtual meetings. For a lot of parents, it's kind of hard for them to make it to the building because of time. But the great thing is in middle schools tend to have kids who live in the neighborhood, So I might do an evening, meet and greet, something in that fashion. But again, definitely introducing myself via communicates like emails and letters. But then faculty, definitely in person. Students, definitely in person. And what I plan to do with the students is, and I'll probably do a whole school-wide assembly, and with the outgoing principal, and then from there have grade level, homeroom level meetings throughout the week. So my plan is to have all this happen within this first 5 days. Learn about the school from the principal, outgoing principal, and have virtual meetings, in-person meetings. Those things happen within the first 5 days. It's very important for the community to get to know me. It's an ongoing process, but that those first 5 days are going to be very, very crucial. And then remember, these things are probably going to continue on to into the next benchmark dates. But I definitely want to make sure, and this is my focus for the first 5 days. Then the first 15 days, conduct listening sessions with various stakeholders groups. So sitting down with teachers, with support staff, with students and parents, and just listening. Let them, the same thing I do with the principal, gathering information and insights about the current state of the school. Do the same thing with teachers, support staff, students, and parents. Then also within those first 15 days, review academic performance, attendance, survey data to identify strengths and challenges. So what I'm going to do, all that information I've received, I'm going to now have that with the numbers and the information that's documented and do my own analysis and assessments to really do a deeper dive, into the school. The first 30 days, which now, so the first 15 days takes me to like May 20th. The first 30 days takes me to June 3rd. So mind you, May coming in May, I'm coming in at the tail end of the school year, which is actually a huge benefit to me because I get to see live what's happening in school. A lot of principals, what you find yourself doing is taking over school summertime. So you're learning the school, putting stuff together when no one's there, which kind of makes you feel like a burglar. I can't even imagine, it's kind of weird, but you are kind of like walking through a space and people don't even know you're there, or people don't read their emails or see the letters, so they don't even know that you even exist. So I get the chance here to really spend some time May and June getting to know the community. So now the first 30 days takes me into June 3rd. But this time, in addition to everything I've been doing, I'm developing a comprehensive understanding of the school's culture and climate. So now I'm aggregating that data. I'm making sense of it all. Then from there, I'll initiate new teacher recruitment process for the upcoming school year. This May and June, new teacher hiring. Biggest part of this process, also understanding, is anyone going to be transitioning? Am I going to need to hire new teachers? And And I'm a believer that you need to have a plan for that. So this is time for you to start like figuring out. For me to start figuring out like what is this going to look like? You know, am I going to have a committee? Who's going to be on my committee? Which people are going to be available? Which people have I within the past 30 days seen like, okay, these are my my go-to people who should be on this committee to really make sure they're behind the right people to fit the culture of the school and to move the school forward. Hiring is everything. Hiring is everything. Like any company, you want to make sure you get the best people and people who fit the school community and the vision and mission of the school. And also as a school leader, you're building your own team. This new hires are the first people within the school community who you brought in. You know, it's very different from those who've already been there. Of course, you love all your people, but the people you bring in says a lot about you. And people are going to be looking to see what kind of hiring is he doing, who or she doing, or who is she bringing, who is he or she bringing in onto the team. And then one more thing for the first 30 days, begin planning for the end of the year activities and events. And here I would say, I mean, there are a lot of little things that are going to be happening. It's a very pre-planned, like graduation and prom and all those kind of events. Here, you're just kind of like making sure everything is ready to go. So I wouldn't say necessarily begin planning, but for me, it would be really, checking, crossing the T's and checking, dotting the I's, crossing the T's and checking the boxes to make sure everything's ready to go. Because again, I don't have the luxury of saying I didn't even plan it. I wasn't here. If there's issues with any of the end of the year activities, and you don't want to face a upset parent about graduation, not having enough tickets or not enough information, can I be able to go to prom? You gotta know all those things, understanding what does that all look like. Then now 60 days. Now this takes you into the end of through the month of June and into right before summer school. In my case, so summer school usually starts off around 4th of July, after the 4th of July weekend. So here I'm starting to collaborate with stakeholders to establish shared vision and goals for the school. So now I have all my information. So I'm actually kind of entering two crucial phases. Number one is the really reconstructing and re-envisioning of what the next year is going to look like. And then also other things that happen in the summer, like summer school. What does that look like? Orientation for incoming school students, new teacher orientations, and all. So it's multiple things happening. So again, I'm going to be collaborating with school stakeholders to establish a shared vision and goals for the school, prioritize areas for improvement, and create a detailed action plan with timelines. Mind you, all information I've gathered, and everything needs to be really honed in on in preparation for the future of the school. This is the time to start really, rolling sleeves up and really focusing on that. And again, creating plans for those line items for that plan. So finalize new teacher hiring process and onboarding them to school and culture and expectations. So the hiring process is ongoing. The goal is always to have everyone hired before summer, which is virtually impossible in New York City. But this is where finalizing that process and including, again, onboarding, very, very important. You don't hire people and say, okay, I'll see you in the fall. Do not do that. I've seen principals do that, and I've learned, having been in those spaces where now I had to figure out how to support teachers who didn't know what they were buying into. So essential to make sure that that process is very clear. Complete end of year activities and events, because it's still June going to July. That space, making sure all the proms and graduations and celebrations and award ceremonies, all those things happened. And I'm hoping they were all planned out, by the previous administration. But this is the things I want to find out when I have that one-on-one with the outgoing principal to figure out to get insights on the current state of the school, and that includes like how all those events and everything else planned for and prepared for. Now, the first 90 days, this is July 4th, going through August 2nd from my calendar. So now we're looking at launching summer school, ensuring the effective implementation of program supports for students. Very, very important. Nothing worse than having a lousy summer school or a disorganized summer school. So hopefully a lot of those things are put into place. But part of my process, especially this first 60 days, is making sure that that's ready to go. Because if that's in chaos, then guess what? Everything else, it's like a house of cards, starts to fall apart. But summer school if it's done well, can be smooth sailing. If it's done badly, it can be pure chaos. Then it interferes with all the other things that needs to be done. Then the other thing here is monitoring progress towards establishing goals and gather feedback from stakeholders. So all these things that are happening, mind you, I'm creating templates and action steps and notes and everything else. This whole entire process is requires that I involve stakeholders, teachers, support staff, parents. I have to have a team who are also involved in this process. So being able to monitor progress, sitting down and having those meetings and saying where are we, based on the goals we established and the things that need to happen to get through the summer and also to kick off the new school year. So those meetings with our stakeholders are going to be very important. And these meetings are, even though I haven't really mentioned it, are going to be calendared in. It might be bi-weekly, it might be monthly, but that's to be determined. Then another thing here is implementing professional development opportunities for staff and new hires. So over the summer, I'm a big believer that the same way we fear learning loss with our students, typically happen with adults. Once we're away for the much deserved break, we often get caught up with the atrophying of our skills. It's like, by the time the school year starts, you're like trying to dust off the cobwebs. So, I'm just providing those volunteer professional development opportunities for staff. A couple of them I'll probably run myself. Not probably, I will run myself. It's kind of like, hey, if you're interested, I'm going to be doing this workshop, virtual as an option. That's a great way to get people to log on, and voluntarily rather than having to come into the building. So leveraging technology is something I'm going to do. And also this is a great opportunity to really get a head start with the new hires, especially those who are brand new teachers. And then adjust action plans based on data and feedback. Just action plans, updating it. And again, I'm going to use Google Docs, making sure everything is there live, so that all my stakeholders can have access to it and they can see how we're progressing through the summer in preparation for the new school year. Then the 120th day would be September 1st, which puts us right before the beginning of the school year. So by this time, teachers have already started coming back, setting up classrooms and things like that. So again, as a part of the total sum of everything I've done, I put on this list, I'll be evaluating the success of summer school initiatives and identify areas for ongoing improvement. How does summer school go? Because again, I won't necessarily have the opportunity to structure summer school the way that under my full authority, because a lot of the things that are in play are already happening from the school year. So I don't want to come in and be like, oh, I'm changing everything, unless I have to. There might be situations where that something might be so egregious that I need to step in and say, no, we're going to do it this way. But to the best of my ability, I hope that it's going to be more of me, supporting the good and strong implementation of the everyday system plan. Then being able to now sit back and say, okay, now how did it all go? What went really well? What was a struggle? what was a learning opportunity, and add that, because again, this is going to really help in planning for the future as well and the next summer school. Finalize plans for the opening of the 2023-24 school year, include scheduling, staff, assignments, and student orientation. Again, some of this honestly, I might move. This will probably be moved more towards the within the first 90 days. But again, this is very important. I tend to do it super early as far as you know, doing scheduling, the programming, student, staff, teacher programming, student programming, staff assignments, teaching assignments. Also, in coordination with the new hires as well, who are coming in, what subjects are they going to be teaching, student orientation as well, very, very important. A lot of schools just do student orientation for the new sixth graders coming in. I'm a believer that every child in the school should be orientated to that new grade. So there should be a sixth grade orientation, a seventh grade orientation, eighth grade orientation. So kids come in and understand like this is what's going to be expected of them starting in the month of when they return to school. So again, I think August is early August. It's a good time to do those orientations because it gives students at least a full month to kind of like digest and be ready for, versus doing it like a week before school starts or 2 weeks before school starts, and then it becomes kind of like a shock to the system. Because any changes, any new information will be a shock to the system, especially in school. You want the community to have enough time to digest and breathe with it, and then be able to walk in with a very clear understanding what the expectations are going to be. Next will be develop ongoing professional development and support strategies for upcoming academic year. Now, mapping out all the PDs, what is that going to look like? Team meetings, grade level, content level, horizontal and vertical teams, those grade band teams, and just the articulation of instruction from 6 to 8, all that stuff, and the support to go with it, should be finalized. At least should be clear enough to be able to present it. And this will also include finalizing partnerships with coaches and consultants and anything like that. I'm a believer that should be done early in the year. It should not be done, like when you have problems. Then you start saying, okay, I need these coaches in here. I'm hoping with all the work that's being done in this transition plan, I'll be able to, I'll have a very clear picture, no matter how blurry the edges may be of what's needed, and then be able to make those shifts and shifts as we move forward. And then lastly, this is the fun part, is having done all this work and being able to communicate the school's vision, the goals, expectations to all stakeholders. All the work that's been done for the first 120 days at this point in time will put me right in the beginning of the new school year, and I'll be able to speak confidently, versus being the new guy who's walking in the first day of school and still saying like, hey, I'm still learning this space. No, that would not be part of my vocabulary. And this is important, but the transition plan is the framework that will guide the initial actions, the movement towards having an amazing school year and really, leading a space that really benefits all parties involved. But yeah, and again, this is just the outline. There's so much more. It's funny because I've thought to myself, a lot of this is not. I haven't come across resources that really supports this in a way that's easy to use. So I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I might have to put this all together into like a little guide or something like that, and make it available to my followers and even school leaders and aspiring leaders who need this. I know a lot of people who are transitioning into new roles. Again, It doesn't have, you don't have to just be the principal transitioning. It could be an assistant principal. It could be as a dean. It could be any role. You need to have a transition plan. Don't just walk in there and pick up the pieces and try and figure things out. Because I'm telling you, I've done that before, and it's not fun. But having a very clear vision and processes that you will hold yourself accountable to, and get other people involved in that process, I'm telling you, it's going to make your life so much easier. And guess what? It also does for you. It allows people to get to know you through the work. You know, the people I've respected the most in this profession as an educator are those that I've seen in the midst of the work, and I'm like, wow, this person's really good at what they do. You know, because yes, eventually we're you know, any kind of cooperative environment, you get to know people personally, and you get to know their families, they get to know you, and you establish these friendships. But I think it's very, very important that those friendships and those ties are built on the work, because again, you know, maybe it's just the old soldier in me. I always want to know that the colleague to the right and left and behind me, in front of me, that we all have each other's back, and we could trust each other based on what we bring to the table, you know, and our skill sets. Because guess what that does? It really, really allows for trust to be the foundation of the work. All right, y'all. This was a much longer video than I anticipated. I hope this is helpful to y'all, and I'm going to go and think about the bed. All right. I'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.